Today, we'll look at one of the methods of teaching. And if you watched my previous video, you'll know that teaching is a euphemism for proselytizing. So one of the methods of teaching is friendships. As a disclaimer, this video is not intended to demonize Baha'is. I believe that the majority of Baha'is, like the majority of other religionists, are good people. Keep in mind that all the parentheses and ellipses of these quotes are original. Abdu'l-Baha wrote, "If every one of the friends were to establish relations of friendship and right dealings with one of the negligent souls, associate and live with him with perfect kindliness, and meanwhile, through good conduct and moral behavior, lead him to divine instruction, to heavenly advice and teachings, surely he would have gradually aroused that negligent person and would change his ignorance into knowledge." So the negligent soul is the opposite of the friend, which in parentheses believer. Hence the negligent souls are disbelievers, the non-Baha'is. So all this beautiful shit right here are acts of insincerity, because they're based on ulterior motive. That is, to convert the negligent soul or non-Baha'i into a friend or believer. And these are not my words, but the words of Abdu'l-Baha. See. On the next page, Abdu'l-Baha reiterates, "If one of the believers be kind to one of the negligent ones, and with perfect love should gradually make him understand the reality of the cause of God in such a way that the latter should know in what manner the religion of God hath been founded and what its object is, doubtless he will become changed." So again, all this beautiful shit, kindness and perfect love, are based on ulterior motive, which is to convert the negligent one into a believer. And these are not my words, but the words of Abdu'l-Baha. You see right there. Now this same quote continues, "Except abnormal souls who are reduced to the state of ashes, and whose hearts are like stones, yea, even harder." So Abdu'l-Baha says that you should proselytize. He tells Baha'is to proselytize with kindness and perfect love. And if the person still refuses to convert, that person is an abnormal soul who is reduced to the state of ashes and whose heart is harder than stone. It's right there. Abdu'l-Baha also wrote, "The friends of God should weave bonds of fellowship with others and show absolute love and affection towards them. These links have a deep influence on people, and they will listen. When the friend sends receptivity to the word of God, they should deliver the message with wisdom. They must first try and remove any apprehensions in the people they teach. In fact, every one of the believers should choose one person every year and try to establish ties of friendship with him, so that all his fear would disappear. Only then and gradually must they teach that person. This is the best method." So all this beautiful shit based on ulterior motive. What a surprise. Is to convert the quote-unquote other to a friend of God. Again, these are not my words, but the words of Abdu'l-Baha. So it's safe to assume that if you're not a friend of God or a quote-unquote believer, then you're part of the others, the non-friends. You're not a friend of God. Shoghi Effendi wrote, "The love we show others, the hospitality and understanding, the willingness to help them, these are the very best advertisements of the faith. Keep in mind, the ellipses are original. That is, I got these quotes from Compilation of Compilations, Volume 2. This is a Baha'i reference book. So they're not, I didn't put the ellipses there to take it out of context. They're original. So all this beautiful shit, again, what a surprise. Ulterior motive. Why? What's the ulterior motive? It's meant to, it's religious advertisements. And you can see right here, I'm not making this up, advertisements of the faith. Shoghi Effendi also wrote, he hopes that wherever it is possible, the believers will make every effort to contact African students and visitors, and to show them kindness and hospitality. This may not only lead to the conversion of some while in America, but will also make friends for the faith in Africa. Isn't it nice to target minorities? So all this beautiful shit, kindness and hospitality, you guessed it, ulterior motive. Why? It's meant to convert you. You see right here. And by the way, when it says make friends, again, it means believers. Make believers for the faith in Africa. Shoghi Effendi also wrote, the Guardian thinks perhaps a different approach to the Aborigines, wow, another minority, what a surprise, might attract them. One of being interested in their lives and their folklore, and of trying to become their friend, rather than trying to change them or improve them. This beautiful shit right here, of being interested in their lives and folklore and trying to become their friend, is insincere. It's based on ulterior motive. It's a means to attract them to the Baha'i faith. Isn't it nice to feign interest in the lives of minority? It's simply a different approach to attract them to the Baha'i faith. Now all this talk about oneness of humanity, oneness of religion, this endless talk you hear from Baha'is. But if you look at the writings, they actually divide humanity in two or more groups. You have the negligent souls versus believers, the believers versus the negligent ones, the friends of God versus the others, which I assume to be the non-friends of God. Isn't it hypocritical? And all this beautiful shit right here, the fellowship, right dealings, friendship, good conduct, instead of just showing them to another person simply because they're a human being. No, you show them in order to convert them. What does that say about your principle of the oneness of humanity or oneness of religion? Now, it seems to me that there are 3 steps that the writings talk about for Baha'is to convert people. There's the step number 1, which they establish friendship with non-Baha'is. Step number 2, where they gain confidence or trust. And 3, where they gradually proselytize, or proselytize with wisdom. So Shoghi Effendi wrote, the Guardian feels that the most effective way for the Baha'is to teach the faith is to make strong friends. See, you got step number 1, with their neighbors and associates. When the friends have confidence, step number 2, in the Baha'is and Baha'is in their friends, they should give the message and teach the cause. Step number 3. The individual must arise as never before to proclaim the faith of Baha'u'llah. The most effective way for them to carry on their work is for the individual to make many contacts. Select a few who they feel would become Baha'is. Develop a close friendship with them. And then complete confidence. See, step number 2. And finally teach them the faith. Step number 3. Until they become strong supporters of the cause of God. You got it. Friendship, confidence, proselytization. The friends should seek pure souls That is, those who are receptive or, have a tendency to convert. Gain their confidence, step number 2. And then teach that faith carefully until he becomes a Baha'i. And then nurture him until he becomes a firm and active supporter of the faith. It is important that you make contact with pure-hearted individuals. Gain their confidence. They gain confidence in you, and then gradually teach them. So folks, be honest with yourselves. Tell me, when Baha'is talk about oneness of humanity, oneness of religion, does it really live up to its name?